These are the assembly instructions for my St. Patrick's Day mug. I'm going to start with the walls of the mug itself, and I'm just folding down on all the vertical score lines. And then I'm just folding down on the score lines that are at the bottom that form the tabs. And then I have the decorative panels for the side of my mug. They're all identical with the exception of one of them that has the cutouts. And I want to place that right over the holes that are cut out of the panel. Just make sure that you're putting it in the right direction. There's a small border here and a larger border at the bottom. And because I'm using foil craft board for this, I've taken the normal marker and I've run it along the edges of my craft board just to hide that brown edge. Just gives it a nicer finish. I'm just going to glue these craft board rectangles down between the score lines on my panel. So now that I've adhered my craft board to my panel, I'm going to flip my panel over and I'm just putting glue on the tab that's on one side. So from the score line to the edge of the tab. And then I'm folding the other end over so that the cut edge of the panel is right along the score line of my tab. And I have two decagons in the file, so they look like this. So now I'm going to pull all those tabs outwards temporarily and just putting glue all over them, so from the score line to the edge. And then I'm going to carefully fold them inwards so that they're all pointing towards the center of my mug, but I don't want them overlapping. And then I'm going to flip my piece over and I'm going to take one of those decagon pieces and I'm just lowering one of them into the mug. I want the straight edges of my shape to be along the straight sides of the walls of my mug. And then I'm going to go in there with my bone folder and I'm just spreading that glue. And if you don't have a bone folder, you can use a ruler or something with a nice clean straight edge. And so the other one is going to go on the bottom. I'm covering the underside in glue, just gluing it to the bottom like so. And then I'm flipping my mug over again and then going in from the inside again to spread that glue. Next, I'm working on the handle for my mug. So it's a piece that looks like this. And I'm just folding down on all the score lines. So I'm going to start by putting glue on these three tabs. And I'm just putting glue from the score line to the edge on all three tabs. I'm tucking the first one on the panel that's right next to it, like so. And I want the cut line to be right against the score line of my tab. And the bottom tab gets glued to the next panel right next to it. And then this triangular piece gets glued to the third tab, like so. So I'm going to do that on the other side as well. I'm putting glue on those same tabs and then just gluing my tabs in place. So I've got this large section in the middle, and then I have these two tabs on the other side. So I'm putting glue on one of those tabs, and then I'm bringing the other end over, and I'm gluing the cut edge of that end to the score line of my tab. I'm pulling these away from the center. I'm going in there with my finger and just sort of pinching that tab into place. So I'm doing that on the other side as well with this tab, and then bringing the other end of that piece over. I'm making sure that those two tabs are on the inside when I bring the other end around and just gluing it into place. And then I'm just pinching that edge right against the score line, making sure that the score lines at the end are nice and even as well. And then I have that flap that's in the center. I'm putting glue on the tab from the score line to the edge. And then I'm tucking the tab inwards. I want the score line of my tab to go right along the edge of my piece. So I can go in with my Cricut tool here, apply a little bit of pressure to make sure that that tab takes. I'm just gently pulling that piece that I've glued in. I'm pulling it away so I have access to those two tabs. And then I'm going in with my finger and just gluing both of those tabs. And I'm doing that on the other side as well. So next I'm putting red line tape on my tabs to secure my tabs to the mug. The top and bottom tabs of each set have red line tape on the inside, and the side tabs for each set have red line tape on the outside, like so. I just removed the liner on all of my red line tape. So for those center tabs, I'm folding one on top of the other and adhering the top one to the bottom. And then I'm taking my mug and I'm inserting the top tab into that top slit that's on the side, and then pressing down, and then doing the same with the bottom one. I'm just threading it through that little slit, putting my hand in the mug and pulling that tab so that it is folded upwards towards the top of my mug. So now I'm just applying a little bit of pressure on all the tabs. Those center tabs are adhered to the side like so. So next I'm going to make the base for my beer mug. I have two of these strips with little tiny tooth-like tabs on the top and bottom of them. I've folded down on those tabs, and then I've taken my bone folder and I just carefully run it against the edge. And this is just to minimize that little jagged look that you get when you fold down on those tiny tabs. There's a score line here at the tab. Now I'm not folding down on that score line, that's just for placement. And I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge of that tab, and then I'm bringing the other end around and gluing it so that the score lines are even. I'm pressing down on my craft mat, and then I'm just pulling those tabs away from the center like so. I have small circles, larger circles, and 3 rings. I'm going to take the larger of the circles, I have 2 of them. I'm going to put glue all around the perimeter on the underside like so. Just a ring of glue around the perimeter. And then I'm going to lower my shape down into my form like so, and then I'm pressing down with my bone folder around the perimeter, making sure that those tabs are adhering. And then I'm going to take my second circle, I'm putting glue all over it, and I'm placing it on top of those tabs that I've just adhered. I want the edges of my circle to go right along the wall of my shape. And then I'm going in with my bone folder, and again I'm exerting a little bit of pressure and spreading that glue. And so next I have my 3 ring pieces. 2 of them are identical and one of them has a smaller circle in the center. Stack them up on top of one another. You can see which one. So I'm going to put that one aside. And I have all these tabs all the way around. I'm just going to put glue on all of them. And then I'm putting my ring piece in place. So I'm just gluing all of those little tabs to the perimeter of my ring piece. And then I have my smaller piece, and I folded down the exact same way on those little tabs. I'm assembling it basically the exact same way as I did with my previous piece. I'm temporarily pulling one set of tabs away from the center while I have all the others pointing towards the center of my shape. I'm putting glue just on the perimeter of one of my circular pieces, and then dropping the shape into my form, and then I'm just going in there with my bone folder. I'm making sure that the walls of my form are following the circular shape. And then I'm putting glue on the underside of the second circle, and then I'm gluing it right over those tabs that I've just adhered. The edge of the circle has to follow the edge of my shape. And again, I'm going with my bone folder and spreading that glue. So I've got 2 ring pieces again, and again I'm just making sure that I'm taking the right one, border around the one at the bottom. So this is the one I want, and I'm just cleaning it over, and it's just around the perimeter. And so now I'm just putting glue on all those little tabs, and then I'm just folding them downwards and gluing them to my ring piece like so. So now I've put my piece upside down. It's kind of like a little hat, and I'm just pressing down on where those tabs are so that I'm spreading that glue. And now I'm just lowering. You have to push a little bit, but that center piece fits right in there like so. And then I have my little rosette. So my rosette is in 2 pieces because of the length of it. And I've already folded down on the first one. I'm going to fold down on the second one. To begin with, I'm just doing an accordion fold back and forth on all those horizontal score lines. So now that I've folded down on them, I'm actually going to fold them in the opposite direction. I'm folding the first 2 panels, and then you'll see a score line on both sides. So I'm just taking that corner and folding it down on the score line in one direction, and then folding it in the opposite direction. So then I'm folding down on the next 2 panels, and I'm doing the same for it. And then I'm just continuing down my rectangular piece, folding down on those score lines and creating those little triangular folds. So I'm popping that center score line upwards and pushing the triangular score line down like so. So now I'm just folding up my rosette. I'm pinching with my right hand, and the triangular fold at the top is folding downwards. I have my two pieces with the triangular folds towards the bottom. So I'm putting glue on that last panel, and then I'm bringing my second rosette over, gluing it so that it's right at the fold, and then I'm just making sure that it folds nicely. And I'm going to join them on the other end as well. I'm putting glue from the score line to the edge on my tab. I'm bringing the other end around, so I'm gluing that cut edge right against that score line. And then when I push down on the center, it gives me this star look, like so. So now I'm just heating up my hot glue gun. I'm going to pinch my piece into place and insert it in the center of the base that I've made. I'm going to let it open all by itself, and then I'm going to put a generous amount of glue in the center. And then I'm folding it down, making sure that my points are nicely spread out. And I'm just going to hold that in place until my glue takes. Next I have the third ring. I'm putting glue on the underside of it, and I'm just gluing it over all those little tabs. So with my mug upside down, I'm going to glue my decorative base to the bottom, and I want to make sure that the seam is right under my handle piece, like so. And I'm just centering it as best I can on the bottom of my mug, and then I'm pressing down until the glue takes. So next I'm going to work on the froth layer. So this is basically just the lid for my mug. I'm folding down on the same tabs that I had for the circular base of my mug. And again, I'm smoothing the edge with my bone folder. I'm not folding down on the score line for the tab. I'm using it for placement of my glue. So I've just put glue from the score line to the edge. I'm bringing the other end around. I'm just placing the other end right on that score line. So then I'm placing those tabs right down on my craft mat. They're all pointing towards the center of my shape. I'm going to take one of my rounds. I'm putting glue all around the perimeter of my shape and just lowering it into the form that I've created. And then I'm going in with my bone folder, making sure that the edges of my circle are right along the edges of my shape. I'm flipping my piece over, and I'm putting glue on the underside of the other round, and then just gluing it on the top of my piece, making sure that the edges are nice and even. And then I'm flipping my piece over and spreading the glue with my bone folder again. So then I have my sentiment that's going to go on to my mug. I've cut the base out of black foil craft board, and I've used green cardstock for the banner, gold vinyl for the sentiment, and holographic sparkle vinyl for the lighter gold details. And my coins are cut out of gold cardstock. And I've just glued everything down as you see here. So I'm putting double-sided tape on the underside of my label. Then I'm releasing the liner on my double-sided tape. I have my panel with the handle on it. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and I'm putting the center part of my label right on that third panel. The score lines should follow the score lines on my mug. And I'm just adhering it towards the bottom. And then I have my foam that fits over it like so. So this is my cardstock version, and this was my model. And I was trying to replicate the underside just the way that you see here.